Here's our problem today. Find sine of 2x, cosine of 2x, and tangent of 2x, given that the cosecant of x is 17/8 and cosine of x is less than 0. To start, what I'm going to do is I am going to change cosecant of x into its reciprocal function. The reciprocal of cosecant of x is sine of x. So I have the sine of x equals, and since it's the reciprocal function, I'm going to go ahead and just flip this around as well. Make this 8/17. This might be something that's a little bit more familiar to you. So from this, and given that the cosine of x is less than 0, I'm going to draw a triangle in the standard xy coordinate plane. So I'm going to draw an x-axis. I'm going to draw a y-axis. We're given here that sine is positive and that cosine is negative. And sine is positive and cosine is negative in the second quadrant. So I am going to draw a right triangle right here. We know that sine is the relationship between the opposite and the hypotenuse. So I'm going to go ahead and label my triangle. We're going to use angle x here. And opposite of that angle is 8. And the hypotenuse of the triangle is 17. The only thing I need to label on my triangle now is this side length. To do that, I'm going to use the Pythagorean Theorem. I'm going to call this side A in my problem. I have a squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. So leg squared plus leg squared equals my hypotenuse squared. I'm going to simplify. A squared plus 64 equals 289. I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides. So I get a squared equals 225. And now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Now, normally we need a plus minus, but since I'm talking about a triangle, lengths can't be negative, so I'm going to ignore that part. I have a equals 15. So I'm just going to replace this a with 15 then. You may have recognized this as a Pythagorean triple, 8, 15, 17, but if you didn't have that in your toolbox of things that you know, you can always fall back on the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to clear this for space. Okay, so there's one last thing we need to add to this triangle. Since cosine is negative, this 15 also has to be turned negative. So don't forget this piece, or else you'll probably be getting a half point off if you have this on a test or something. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to find the sine of 2x. In order to do this, I need to know the double angle identity for sine. To sine of x, cosine of x. So all I need to do right now is replace what sine of x and cosine of x is and simplify. So I have 2 times sine of x is the opposite over the hypotenuse, or 8/17. And the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so negative 15/17. Some students like to do this. They like to say 2 over 1 times 8/17 times negative 15/17. So all I'm going to do right now is multiply across on the numerator and multiply across on the denominator. I get negative 240 over 289 for the sine of 2x. For reference, I'm just going to write that up here. Now I'm going to find the cosine of 2x. Now what's fun about this one is there's 3 different ways that cosine of 2x likes to present itself. So I'm just going to take a moment to write down the 3 different ways that you can do that. So here are the 3 ways that cosine of 2x can be written. And what's fun about this is I can use any one of these and get the correct answer. So I'm going to use the first one. So what I need first is the cosine of x, and cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, or negative 15/17. and I'm going to need to square that, minus, I also need the sine of the angle, 8 over 17, opposite over hypotenuse. I'm going to square that. So when I do that, negative 15 squared is 225, and 17 squared is 289. 8 squared is 64, and 17 squared is 289. Because I have common denominators, I can put these both over 289. And now I can just take 225 minus 64, which gets me 161. So the sine of 2x equals 161 over 289. I'm going to write that right here. The reason I wrote down sine of 2x and cosine of 2x is because the tangent of 2x is just sine over cosine. So instead of using another formula for tangent of 2x, I already did a lot of the work. So I'm just going to put my sine value over my cosine value and simplify. Let me clear and make some space. Last, we need to find the tangent of 2x. Tangent is the ratio of sine over cosine. So I can rewrite this as sine of 2x over the cosine of 2x. Now there is a double angle formula for tangent, but we've already done a lot of the work, so we're just going to use this. The sine of 2x is negative 240 over 289. And the cosine of 2x is 161 over 289. I have a complex fraction, so I can multiply by 289 on the bottom and the top because that is a big 1. This leaves me with negative 240 on my numerator and 161 on my denominator. So the tangent of 2x equals negative 240 over 161.